10 MLB players who are permanently banned. Before we start, I'd like you to hit that red subscribe button so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Homer Hub. Here are 10 MLB players who are banned. Number 1. Jack O'Connor. Ty Cobb was a jerk, truly great at baseball but really a loathsome individual. O'Connor, the former player-manager of the St. Louis Browns, hated Cobb so much that he couldn't let the Georgia Peach win the 1910 American League batting title on his watch. When Cobb entered the final day of the season, locking a tight duel with Nap Joloi from the crown, O'Connor decided to intervene on LaJoie's behalf to spite Cobb. O'Connor's Browns team was squatting up against LaJoie's Cleveland squad in the season's final game when O'Connor gave his third baseman, Red Corridon, an odd order to go stand in shallow left field whenever LaJoie came out to bat. With no one covering third base, LaJoie could easily bunt down the line for singles, which he did 8 times over the course of the day. This lead surge gave LaJoie the batting title by virtue of a slight .384-.383 edge over Cobb. Number 2. Horace Vogel. Some fans think it's silly to see players and coaches get slapped with fines for criticizing officiating after heating games, but the punishments could be considerably more draconian. Just ask Horace Vogel. Vogel served as the Philadelphia Phillies owner and president from 1909 to 1912, but he ran afoul of the National League when he publicly claimed that the umpires preferred to see New York Giants win and made biased calls against the Phils to ensure Giants victories. The league, tired of Vogel's bombastic claims that the pennant race was fixed, so it banned him for life in 1912. Number 3. Benny Kauf. Kauf, an outfielder, was a rare talent. In 1914 and 1915, he won the Federal League's batting titles and stolen base grounds, and in 1914 he also led the league in runs and doubles. His combination of batting eye, speed, and power earned him the nickname the Ty Cobb of the Feds, but he quickly got in more trouble than the actual Ty Cobb ever did. For much of the big league's baseball's history, most players didn't scratch out enough money to live on playing the game, so they held off-season jobs. In Kauf's case, he owned a used car dealership with his half-brother in which they got into hot water. In 1919, the police found a stolen car they've been searching for, and the driver told the cops he'd picked up his new wheels at Kauf's dealership. Kauf was arrested on a charge of receiving stolen property, and Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis didn't even wait to see what happened in the trial. He gave Kauf the permanent heave-ho from baseball just for being indicted. As it turned out, Kauf might not have even known about the stolen cars, as he was acquitted from the charges following his trial. In 1922, Kauf applied to Landis for reinstatement on the grounds that he wasn't actually guilty of anything. Landis, a former federal judge, balked at the idea of letting a jury trial establish guilt and flatly refused, commenting that the acquittal was one of the worst miscarriages of justice that has ever come from my observation. Number 4. Ray Fisher. Fisher, a starting pitcher, racked up a 100-94 record with a 2.82 ERA over his career with the Yankees and Reds. As the 1921 season was starting, the Reds offered Fisher a new contract, but it would require that he take a pay cut of $1,000. Instead of stomaching that lower salary, Fisher left the Reds to take a job that seemed to offer more security, coaching the University of Michigan's baseball team. Fisher hoped the Reds would release him, but instead Landis stuck him on the ineligible to play list. Later on that summer, Fisher started mulling over the idea of playing again. Branch Rickey of the Cardinals and an outlaw team from Franklin, Pennsylvania tried to secure his services. Fisher wanted to play right by the Reds though, so he wrote the team a letter asking what exactly his contract situation was and offering them the first crack at him. To Commissioner Landis, this query smacked of Fisher trying to weasel out of his contract with the Reds, which earned the pitcher a lifetime ban. Things ended up okay for Fisher though. He was by all indications a good guy, and he spent 38 very successful seasons as Michigan's baseball coach. In 1980, then Commissioner Bowie Kuhn reinvestigated Fisher's ban by Landis and overturned the ruling, which meant that the 82-year-old hurler was once again a retired MLBer in good standing. Number 5. Phil Douglas. Douglas had a pretty good career as a pitcher, and even he won 2 games in the 1921 World Series for the New York Giants. However, he didn't get along with hot-tempered Giants manager John McGraw. Douglas looked to be on his way to an ERA title in 1922 when he and McGraw got into an argument that ended with a suspension and a $100 fine for Douglas. Like any reasonable person would do, Douglas went out and got sloshed to take the edge off his anger. He then sat down to write some letters. Douglas didn't see how he could help someone he disliked as much as McGraw win a pennant, so he decided he'd just skip out on the team. He drunkenly wrote this letter to his buddy Les Mann of the St. Louis Cardinals. I want to leave here, but I want some inducement. I don't want this guy to win the pennant, and I feel if I stay here I'll win it for him. If you want to send a man over here with the goods, I will leave for home on the next train. I will go down to fishing camp and stay there. The letter eventually ended up on the Commissioner Landis' desk, and the old hanging judge came out with his customary punishment, a lifetime ban for Douglas. Number 6. Pete Rose. Pete Rose has to be the most infamous example of an athlete banned for life from their sport. An all-star with the most hits in Major League history, Rose admitted to betting on games. Many cases have been made as to why Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, but he remains on the ineligible list. Even with the gambling, post-baseball legal issues will likely keep Rose off the list for good. Number 7. William Cox. Cox wasn't a player, but he merits a spot on the list because he's the only owner to be banned for life. The Phillies owner, Cox admitted to placing sentimental bets on the team and became the first non-player to earn a lifetime suspension. Betting on baseball is a no-no unless you do so on one of the websites that struck partnerships with the league office. Number 8. Phil Douglas. Before modern free agency, players were truly bound to whatever team held their rights. When Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis learned Douglas, a spitball-throwing pitcher, planned to leave the Giants for the Cardinals to spite manager John McGraw, Landis banned Douglas for life. Such were times before Curt Flood and others challenged the way baseball ran things. Number 9. Lee McGee. Add McGee to the list of players impacted by the Black Sox scandal. Baseball investigated McGee for fixing a 1919 game between the Chicago Cubs, his team at the time, and the Philadelphia Phillies. Court testimony found McGee was involved in throwing games, earning him a ban which remains to this day. Number 10. Joe Jackson. Until he died in 1951, shoeless Joe Jackson maintained his innocence that he did not conspire to throw the 1919 World Series. Jackson was one of the 8 members of the Chicago White Sox accused in the Black Sox scandal, and they were all tossed out of baseball in 1921. Despite numerous efforts to have Jackson reinstated to be eligible for baseball's Hall of Fame, his legacy remains outside of the hallowed hills of Cooperstown. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are currently on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.